Lately, I've been struggling with inspiration. So instead of pretending I'm about to invent something groundbreaking, I decided to take the easy route and remake one of my older plant hangers from over a year ago. Think of it less as a lack of ideas and more as creative recycling. Same concept, same questionable decisions, just with slightly more experience and hopefully fewer mistakes. This version is made using 3mm polyester cord, which, just to be very clear, is not the same thing as cotton cord. I've made a similar hanger before using cotton, but that one used 2mm cord for the flowers and 3mm for the rest. Same idea, slightly different chaos. I'm starting with 6 cords, each 4.5 meters long, and a 3cm metal ring. I cut about 60 centimeters of cord for the gathering knot. I will now make basic spiral knots using 4 cords. I believe about 10 to 11 centimeters will look acceptable, and that is as precise as I can get under the circumstances. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I am not friends with the measuring tape, so I'm just trusting this pin board to tell me what 11 centimeters look like. Plant hangers usually look best with 3 or 4 knotted sides, so I will repeat those basic spiral knots 2 more times. Now I will be adding some basic wooden beads to the middle cords, without any good reason. They match the color of the cord, so no one will see them anyway. But sometimes macrame is about the process, not the result. Under each bead, I make a basic square knot to secure it in place. Now I'm attempting about 20 basic square knots on each side, because for a brief moment I believed I can count. Realistically, 1 or 2 sections will end up with a slightly different number of knots, but I'm choosing peace over math. I will continue with 3 basic switch knots because I need to get the long cords to become the working cords for the second half of the top section. The outside cords will go to the middle, and the other 2 will make a basic square knot about 2 centimeters lower. I attempt to keep them evenly spaced across all 3 sections.
Dream still reaching for the past. Take me back to the place we knew, where every moment was alive with you. Through the fire, through the endless rain, I would give my soul to feel again.
Then I go back to basic square knots and make as many as I need to get all 4 cords roughly the same length. After finishing the first section, I will attempt to match the same look on the other 2.
The violins are rising like the tide, a mournful hymn that time could never hide. Its cello hums a secret deep and low of every love that we still long to know. The night is dressed in melodies of pain. Each note.
Now I will make the flower using 5 cords, each 2.5 meters long. I make sure I will be working on the correct side, which is kind of important, because I really don't feel like taking anything apart later. It might seem obvious to most people, but I don't usually operate as most people. I have a special talent for skipping obvious steps. I'm attaching the 5 purple cords onto the white cord with a basic double half hitch. And for a brief moment, I felt the urge to prove that is what I'm doing, by pinning the purple cord under the white one and making a proper, socially acceptable double half hitch. Now I use the remaining white cords as filler cords, and double half hitch the purple working cords onto them.
I still remain, whispering your name through the pain.
I make 4 basic square knots with the white cords, simply because it's easier to do it now than after finishing the flower. I am just trying to save future me from unnecessary struggles. I use the left cord as a filler cord and double half hitch the rest of the purple cords onto it. I should repeat this 4 times, and on the 5th row only hitch 3 cords, leaving the last one free to connect both sides of the first flower petal. Just because I'm supposed to do it that way, doesn't mean I will. Making all 5 rows the same and then undoing 1 knot later is not the worst thing that can happen.
Your shadow falls across the empty floor. A ghost that lingers knocking at my door. The silence whispers secrets I can't hide. A fragile truth that tears me up inside. And still I walk beneath this endless rain. I'm reaching out, but you are far away. The echoes haunt the words I try to say. My heart still burns, although the flame is gone.
Now I mirror the same 5 rows on the other side, this time using the right cord as the filler cord. This time I will leave the last knot on the final row the way I was supposed to do it before.
A dream of love I cannot understand. Yet in the dark, your memory remains. A fragile flame that nothing can contain. The dawn awakens, but it feels the same. A hollow morning, nothing left to claim.
I take the cord from the left side, bring it into the middle of the 2 cords on the right side, and only then finish the 5th row with that missing double half hitch.
Each step of memory I can't erase. The world keeps moving, but I stand behind. A prisoner to the echoes in my mind. And still I wait for something never near.
I pull the same cord back to the left side and use it as a working cord to finish the 5th row here as well.
The echoes haunt the words I try to say. My heart still burns, although the flame is gone. I sing your name, but know I stand alone.
So now I end up with 5 full rows of double half hitches on both sides, and something resembling a flower petal. Here, I will take the right cord as my filler cord and use the other 4 cords to make 7 full rows of double half hitches.
Yet in the dark, your memory remains. A fragile flame that nothing can contain. If time could heal the scars that never fade, I'd trade it all for one more chance we made. But in this world where shadows take their hold,
I will go the opposite direction by using the left cord as a filler cord. And again, I need 7 rows. But since I also need to connect both sides of this flower petal as well, I will again leave the last double half hitch and only make 3 knots on the 7th row.
the rain may fall, but still I will remain. A voice unbroken, rising through the pain. And in the silence, love still speaks the same. Forevermore, I whisper out your name.
It is time to use the tapestry needle I bought during my 2-month break from macrame, when I tried to learn crochet instead, which is a much more relaxing hobby. Unfortunately, I cannot read subtitles while counting stitches, so I had no choice but to return to this macrame nonsense. I try to get the needle between the first and second row of the first 7 rows I made. I start with just the needle, without the cord, for 2 reasons. Firstly, I can loosen the space, and this makes it easier to get the cord through it afterwards. Second, if I skip this step, I sometimes end up going through the cord instead of the space between the knots, and threading cord through cord is basically impossible. So I first make a proper hole with the needle, then check I haven't stabbed anything I wasn't supposed to. Only then do I thread the cord through that opening.
I'll be your dream in neon light, your wish beneath the stars tonight. I'll be your hope through silver skies, the rhythm beating in.
Now I can finish my 7th row by using the threaded cord as a working cord. Then I will just repeat the exact same steps for the second flower petal on this side.
In every pulse, in every step, I'll hold you close. The world can fade. We're living love in retro shades. I wanna stand with you on a mountain. Feel the night breeze, hear it call our name. I wanna dance with you in the ocean till the dawnlight burns away the pain. A cassette spins, our song begins, the future fades.
I just have to mirror those 2 flower petals on the other side. And yes, in the past, I've forgotten to make the last one, then sat there wondering why my flower looked like it was missing a personality trait. 5 is the number I'm aiming for, but sometimes repeating row after row starts to feel like a whole millennium.
We're lost in forever, a flame in the heart, and when the stars begin to glow, I'll whisper soft, I'll never let you go. I wanna stand with you on a mountain, feel the echoes.
I continue by connecting each pair of cords with a double half hitch on the back side of my flower. I use the cords on one side as the working cords, and the cords on the other side as filler cords.
Sky falls down on you and me. Oh, can you see it, baby? It's shining in the night. Our love's electric, maybe, but it feels so right. I'll be your dream, your wish, your fantasy. Lost in time, just you and me. Truly, madly, deeply true.
Now I gather all the cords except the 2 closest to the center of my flower. Those 2 stay behind as working cords, and I use them to make one basic square knot. Now I get too bored to narrate every single thing my hands are doing because apparently they can be trusted unsupervised for 5 minutes.
The river carries all the words we lost. Each wave a memory, each tide a cause. The mountains echo with your fading song. A whisper tells me where I still belong. The wind remembers what we said. It sings your name where I once bled. I follow where the shadows lead. Guide me through the forest of the rain, where every branch still calls your name. I'm falling in the fire of the sky, yet every ember keeps your spirit alive. My soul is drowning in the endless sea, but waves return you back to me. 1,000 storms may tear the earth apart, but roots of love still anchor in my heart. The autumn fields are painted with your light. The stars are trembling in the arms of night. A fragile flower blooming through the storm. It holds a truth that I am not alone. The wind remembers what we said. It sings your name where I once bled. I follow where the shadows lead. Guide me through the forest of the rain, where every branch still calls your name. I'm falling in the fire of the sky, yet every ember keeps your spirit alive. My soul is drowning in the endless sea, but waves return you back to me. 1,000 storms may tear the earth apart, but roots of love still anchor in my heart. If rivers cross could carry me to you, would mountains move and let the light shine through? Or would we vanish like the morning dew? A fleeting dream the earth once knew. Raise me higher where the oceans kiss the flame. Through shattered skies I still will call your name. The thunder roars but love will never drown. The earth will break and still it holds us down. The stars are burning but I will not hide. Your voice is light and cutting through the night. The world may
The cords I'm adding are about 3 meters long, or they might be 3.3 meters, because using a measuring tape still isn't my thing. But using my wingspan as a highly questionable unit of measurement seems like a much simpler thing to do.
I'll find you waiting at the river's bend.
As per usual, I'm adding the new cords using a reverse lark's head knot and a half hitch on each side. Standard procedure.
night is heavy, silence fills the air. I reach for shadows, but you're not there. The clock keeps ticking, yet time stands still. A hollow ache no one could heal. Your voice once lingered like gentle rain, now only echoes of quiet pain. I walk alone where the lights have died, carrying pieces of love inside. Can you hear me in the dark tonight, calling your name beneath the fading light? The world is empty, but I still believe your memory's the only thing I need. Through the sorrow I still remain, holding on to love through the pain. The keys of the piano softly weep, each note a promise I couldn't keep. Strings are crying where the heart should sing, reminding me of our everything. The walls remember the words we said, a quiet ghost where the fire bled. I trace the letters you left behind, searching for peace I'll never find. Can you hear me in the dark tonight, calling your name beneath the fading light? The world is empty, but I still believe your memory's the only thing I need. If I could turn the hands of time, I'd keep your heartbeat close to mine. But fate has drawn a line too deep and left me here with dreams to keep. Can you hear me in the dark tonight, calling your name with all my might? The world is broken, but I still believe your memory's the only breath I breathe. Through the silence, I'll call your name. Through the shadows, I'll feel the same. Even as the night takes all away, I'll hold your love until the day. In the quiet, I still remain, whispering your name through the pain. Night is quiet, heavy with regret. I traced the roads where all our hearts had met. Your shadow falls across the empty floor, a ghost that lingers knocking at my door. The silence whispers secrets I can't hide, a fragile truth that tears me up inside. And still I walk beneath this endless rain. I'm reaching out, but you are far away. The echoes haunt the words I try to say. My heart still burns, although the flame is gone. I sing your name, but no, I stand alone. The tears keep falling, rivers through my hands. A dream of love I cannot understand. Yet in the dark, your memory remains, a fragile flame that nothing can contain. The dawn awakens, but it feels the same. A hollow morning, nothing left to claim. I walk in circles, searching through the haze. Each step a memory I can't erase. The world keeps moving, but I stand behind, a prisoner to the echoes in my mind. And still I wait for something never near. I'm reaching out, but you are far away. The echoes haunt the words I try to say. My heart still burns, although the flame is gone. I sing your name, but no, I stand alone. The tears keep falling, rivers through my hands. A dream of love I cannot understand. Yet in the dark, your memory remains, a fragile flame that nothing can contain. If time could heal the scars that never fade, I'd trade it all for one more chance we made. But in this world where shadows take their hold, I'm left with silence and a heart grown cold. The song we started keeps me whole. The rain may fall, but still I will remain, a voice unbroken, rising through the pain. And in the silence, love still speaks the same. Forevermore I whisper out your name, though time may steal the pieces of my soul. Your flame still burns, a fire in the dark. It lights my way and heals my wish beneath the stars tonight. I'll be your hope through silver skies. The rhythm beating in your eyes. I love you more with every breath.
Now I will make 13 alternating half-hitch knots with the middle 4 cords, and 16 alternating half-hitch knots on each side. This is the part where the pattern looks intentional, but is actually powered by vibes and guesswork.
Till the dawnlight burns away the pain. A cassette spins, our song begins. The future fades, the past begins. I'm counting on a new sunrise, reflected deep in your blue eyes. A reason for living, a spark in the dark. We're lost in forever, a flame in the heart. And when the stars begin to glow, I'll whisper soft, I'll never let you go. I wanna stand with you on a mountain, feel the echoes of eternity. I wanna swim with you in the moonlight, till the sky falls down on you and me. Oh, can you see it, baby? It's shining in the night. Our love's electric, maybe, but it feels so right. I'll be your dream, your wish, your fantasy. Lost in time.
I will finish the bottom with a few more square knots. 3 rows in total, even though 2 would have looked better. But at this point, good decisions have left the building.
Forever stars with me and you. The river carries all the words we lost.
I'm also adding a gathering knot for that final bit of purple, which is completely unnecessary because the square knots would hold the pot just fine. But I committed to the color, so now I suffer the consequences.
A whisper tells me where I still belong. shadows lead. Guide me through the forest of the rain, where every branch still calls your name. I'm falling in the fire of the sky, yet every ember keeps your spirit alive. My soul is drowning in the endless sea, but waves return you back to me. 1,000 storms may tear the earth apart, but roots of love still